At 18, my parents threw me out with one trash bag and 3 words I would never forget. You'll be fine. My mother said I was strong enough to survive without them. My father said my sister needed their protection more than I needed a home. So I walked away that night, carrying everything I owned in one hand and my heartbreak in the other. For 5 years, I built a life without them. Then one morning, my mother called me from a number I almost didn't recognize. She was crying. Her first words were, "Please come home. Your sister has destroyed everything." At 18, I learned that being the strong one in a family can be another way of saying, "We think you can survive being abandoned." My mother said it while standing on our porch with tears in her eyes. My father stood behind her, silent. My older sister, Claire, watched from the hallway. There was one bag at my feet. Inside were shirts, jeans, sneakers, school papers, and my grandmother's photograph. My mother hugged me. "You're the strong one," she whispered. "You'll be fine." I looked at Claire. She was 22, old enough to understand exactly what was happening. She was crying, but she didn't stop them. That was when I understood. Claire wasn't my older sister. She was the daughter everyone protected. And I was the daughter everyone expected to understand. Growing up, I was the responsible one. If Claire missed an appointment, Mom reminded me to help her next time. If she failed a class, Dad said she was under too much pressure. If I struggled, I heard the same thing. "You're smart. You'll figure it out." So I figured things out. I kept my grades high. I worked weekends at a grocery store and saved whatever I could. I helped when my parents were short on money. I rarely complained. Maybe that was my mistake. The more capable I became, the less anyone noticed when I needed something. The final argument started when Claire quit another job without having another lined up. My parents immediately agreed to cover her expenses. I asked how long they planned to keep doing that. Claire looked at me like I'd betrayed her. Mom called me insensitive. Dad said Claire was going through a difficult period. "I understand," I said. Then I asked, "When do my needs get to matter too?" Nobody answered. That silence hurt more than an argument. 2 days later, Dad told me I needed to leave. He said the tension was affecting Claire. Mom said it would only be temporary. "We just need some space." I stared at the bag beside the door. Where am I supposed to go? She wouldn't meet my eyes. "You're 18. You're strong. You'll manage." I wanted my parents to stop me. I wanted Claire to say, "She doesn't deserve this." She said nothing. So I picked up the bag. It was heavier than it looked. Not because of the clothes. Because it carried the realization that I'd spent 18 years trying to earn a place in a family that had already decided my sister's comfort mattered more than my belonging. I walked down the driveway without looking back. That night, I slept on a friend's couch. The next morning, I found a cheap room I could afford with my part-time job. But nobody there told me who I had to be. I built a career. I found good people. I learned to pay my bills without apologizing for needing anything. Most importantly, I stopped waiting for my family to realize what they had done. 5 years passed. I was 23 when my phone rang on a rainy Tuesday morning. The screen showed my mother's name. I didn't answer. Then I did. There was silence. Then I heard her crying. "Please," she whispered. "You need to come home." My stomach tightened. "Why?" She took a shaky breath. "It's Claire." I closed my eyes. 5 years ago, they had thrown me out because Claire supposedly needed protection. Now my mother was calling because Claire needed something again. But this time, she wasn't asking me to leave. She was begging me to come back. And I had no idea the reason would change everything. For a few seconds, I couldn't speak. My mother's voice had the same softness I remembered from childhood, but there was something different underneath it now. Fear. "Where are you?" she asked. "At home." "Please don't hang up." I almost laughed. 5 years earlier, she had watched me walk away with one bag. Now she was afraid I might walk away from her again. What happened to Claire? She made a mistake. "Mom, you called me after 5 years. I'm not coming back because you say she made a mistake. Tell me what happened." She started crying. She's in serious trouble. The version of me would have immediately asked how I could help. The woman I had become asked a different question. Why can't Dad handle it? Because your father doesn't know what to do. And you do.
No.
That answer surprised me. Then what do you want from me? I want you to meet us. I looked around my apartment. It was small, but everything in it belonged to me. The couch, the bookshelves, the photographs, the plants near the window. Nobody had ever given me this life. I had built it. I'll meet you, I said. But I'm not coming home. My mother agreed. We met at a cafe halfway between our neighborhoods. She looked older than I remembered. Her hair had more gray in it. Her hands shook around a coffee cup. For a moment, I felt sorry for her. Then I remembered the porch.
The bag.
Claire standing behind her. I pushed the memory aside. Tell me. Mom lowered her eyes. Claire lost her job 3 months ago. Okay. She didn't tell us at first. Why? She was embarrassed. I smiled. Claire had spent her entire life being protected from embarrassment. Mom continued. She borrowed money. Then she borrowed more. She told us she'd pay everyone back when she found another job. And did she?
No.
My mother slid a folder across the table. Inside were overdue notices, bank letters, and documents from a company I didn't recognize. How much? It's complicated, Mom. She swallowed. Almost $60,000. I leaned back. That isn't a mistake. I know. Then why am I here? She looked at me. Because you know how to fix things. There it was. The sentence I'd expected. The sentence I had spent 5 years learning not to believe. I closed the folder. You didn't call because you missed me. Mom's eyes filled with tears. I missed you every day. Then why didn't you call? She had no answer. I stood. I think we're done. Please just listen. I stopped. There is something else. I turned around. Mom pulled another envelope from her purse. This is why Claire needs you. I opened it. The first page was a formal notice connected to a business account. The second page contained Claire's signature. The third page had my name. I stared at it. My name? Mom nodded. Claire used information from your old records. My stomach tightened. What information? She told someone you had agreed to help her. I looked up. I never agreed to anything. I know. Then why is my name here? Mom began crying. We thought you could make it go away. I almost laughed. After 5 years of silence, they had finally found a reason to remember me. And suddenly I understood something. Claire hadn't simply gotten herself into trouble. She had dragged my name into it. I sat back down. Tell me everything. For the first time that day, my mother looked relieved. But she had no idea that I wasn't sitting down to save Claire. I was sitting down to find out exactly what my family had done this time. And when I saw the next document, I realized the story they had told me was nowhere near the whole truth. The next document was a copy of a loan agreement. My name appeared as a guarantor. I stared at the signature. It looked like mine, but it wasn't. I never signed this. Mom shook her head. Claire said she thought you would agree. I almost laughed. That's not how signatures work. Then Dad arrived. I slid the document toward him. Did you know about this? He hesitated. That hesitation answered me. You knew. We thought it was temporary, he said. Everything with his family is temporary, I replied. Except the damage. Claire had used my information to support a business loan she couldn't afford. When her business began failing, she stopped making payments. The lender contacted me because my name was attached to the agreement. But there was more. I asked to see every document. My parents had hidden several letters. Claire had ignored the notices. When the situation became impossible to hide, they decided I was their solution. Not their daughter. Their solution. Why didn't you call me 5 years ago? I asked. Mom started crying. Dad answered. Because Claire was struggling. So was I. He said nothing. That was when I finally understood. They had never believed Claire was incapable. They had simply believed I was expendable. I gathered the documents into one pile. I can help you understand what happens next, I said. But I won't pretend I signed this. I won't pay Claire's debt. And I won't lie to protect her. Her expression changed. You can't do that. I can. Claire finally entered the room. She looked exhausted, but when she saw the documents, her face changed. You found them? Yes. She sat across from me. I didn't mean for this to happen. I know. I thought you would help. That sentence hurt. Not because she needed help, but because she expected it. She still thought I was the strong one who could absorb whatever everyone else couldn't handle. Claire, I said quietly, 5 years ago, you watched them put my life into one bag. She looked down. I was scared. So was I. I didn't know what to do. You could have said something. Tears filled her eyes. I should have. For the first time, she wasn't defending herself. She was admitting it. Mom reached across the table.
Please.
We're family. I looked at her hand. That word had been used against me for 18 years. Family meant forgiving Claire. Family meant understanding Dad. Family meant accepting Mom's excuses. Family meant sacrificing the daughter who could survive it. But I wasn't 18 anymore. I'll help Claire face this, I said. I'll help her find professional advice and organize the documents. But I won't rescue her. Does this mean you don't want us in your life? I looked at him. I don't know. And that was the honest answer. Forgiveness wasn't the same as forgetting. Love wasn't the same as trust. Being their daughter didn't mean surrendering the life I had built without them. I left that evening carrying no bags. For once, I was leaving with everything that belonged to me. One evening, Claire called me. I finally understand, she said. Understand what? Why you left without begging us. I smiled. I didn't leave because I was strong. I left because nobody gave me another choice. 5 years earlier, my mother had told me, you're the strong one. You'll be fine. She was right. But she never understood what those words would create. I became fine without them. I became independent without their approval. And when they finally needed me, I didn't return as the abandoned 18-year-old with one bag. I returned as the woman who had learned the most important lesson of all. Being strong doesn't mean carrying everyone. Sometimes, being strong means putting the burden down.